Hello everyone, it's Fred again from Notes of a Nomad, video number 93. Today I want to go into a little bit more detail about when I worked on the gold mines in South Africa. What brought that to mind was recently it was Remembrance Day, the 11th day of the 11th month, November. On the 11th hour, we remember all of the military people who, you know, fought in the wars, etc. And I thought, well, I've never been in the military, but I was close to it when you think about the gold mines. Like in the military, you have all different ranks. I think you have privates and lieutenants and captains, colonels, and going up to generals. Well, in the mines in South Africa, we had very similar ranks. We had the laborers who were all black, and then we had the miner who was white, and everybody above was whites because of apartheid. So we had the miners, we had then shift boss, and then going up was the mine captain, similar to the captain, I guess, in the military, or mine overseer. Then the underground manager, then the mine manager underground in charge of all the underground workings on a mine, and then the general manager. So he was the general, I guess, of the operation. I worked for 15 years and 9 months in the mine, starting in August of 1963. I'd arrived, well, actually September. I arrived in August 1963 in South Africa. Started in September 1963 and worked until I think it was June 1979. So it was 15 years, 9 months. And I'll go through the ranking that I went up. I started as a learner miner. I'll share with you my record of service. So share my screen. This should allow you to see my record of service. It's a picture of the photocopy up on the top corner. Here on it says my name, my date of birth, where I was born in Port Arthur, Ontario, Canada, and uh, when I got some first aid certificates starting in 1963 to 1978. Then it said when I got my blasting certificate. Now that was the first major step. To work as a miner, you needed to have a blasting certificate. To get a blasting certificate, you have to work 3 years on the mine as like an apprentice. However, there was a government miners training school in Springs, Transvaal, South Africa, where if I went for 1.5 years, I could get my blasting certificate, which I did. So I started in September 1963, and I left there in March of 1965 after 1.5 years with my blasting certificate. From there, I moved. Interesting story. I think I was getting married. In fact, got married in February of 1965. And I now wanted to get a mining job where I could earn some good money. And the mine captain called me into the office and said, I got an offer for you. I want you to go to become a learner official. And I thought, I've got to go to school again. It's called the CTO, Central Training Organization for Officials. And I said, well, I want to go mining. He said, well, if you don't take my offer, I'll make sure you don't get a mining job. So I think you should go and think about it. So I came back to him and said, I thought about it. I guess I better take your offer. So for another year and a half approximately, I was at East Geduld Mine, which is also in same town, Springs, and started in my college where I got my diploma in metalliferous mining. And that after what was about 1966, I became a probationary shift boss at Grootvlei Proprietary Mines. That is on here, showing on my record of service. And then I was, for a brief time, I worked as a shift boss in the Central Training Organization, again in Springs at East Geduld Mine. And then I was transferred to St. Helena, which is in the Orange Free State, in the town called Welkom. And I worked at St. Helena for, I think it was 4 years, 4.5 years, until from 1967 to 1971. And a lot happened in that period to me. I got my mine manager certificate, which is indicated here, in 1969 in December. And then I got got my mine overseer certificate. Now, normally you get your mine overseer certificate before you get your mine managers, but I had written the exam, hadn't got the results, applied to get my go for the exam. That was a verbal exam for the mine overseers, unlike the mine managers, which was a written exam. And the results came out in December saying I had passed my mine managers, and then they said, "Oh, now you can come and do your mine overseers." So I did the backwards, but I did pass it, so I got that in January of 1970. Because of that, I was then promoted. That was quite interesting because they didn't know what to do with me. I had only been in the mines for approximately just on over 6 years, and now I had my mine manager certificate, and I was relatively young. But with a few fiddles and a few arguments and discussions, ultimately they made me a mine overseer or mine captain. And then I was promoted to underground manager, which meant I looked after part of the mine and was transferred to Bracken Mines in another town back in Transvaal, out of the Orange Free State, near Springs, about an hour's south of Springs, on an hour's drive. And there I was a underground manager for I think it was a year and 9 months. And then I was transferred to Kinross Mine, which was another mine in Evander, also as underground manager for another until 1975 for about another year and a half or 9 months. And then I was transferred to Grootvlei, where I spent another 4 years until I left the mines. And there I was acting underground manager. Just give you an idea of the size of the number of people working for you, similar as the military. The, the miner had about 30 people working for him. Then the shift boss had probably between 90 and 120 people under him. The mine overseer probably would have about 300 to 400 people, and then the mine manager uh, or underground manager would have maybe 1,000 to 1,500 people, and then the underground manager could have anywhere from 4 to 6,000 people. And I was acting underground manager for just over a year in Grootvlei. So there was about 4,200 people working underground, of which I would estimate over 3,000 were in the mining. The rest were engineering and service people that helped the equipment and all the other uh, operations which weren't mining. So that's what I did. That's my history of mining. And I just want to show you two more things here. One is my blasting certificate, which I got, and I handled probably more explosives, dynamite, gelignite, ammonium nitrate blasting agents than most people in their lives. Anyone worked on the gold mines handled it. We blasted every day. So we handled explosives every day. Until I was promoted, then I didn't handle them, but as a miner and even as shift boss worked, and we were involved with explosives. So you needed this blasting certificate. And that was the first stepping stone to go up the ranks. And the last thing I'll show you was my payslips when I was at the government miners training school. Shows you how little we earned. This is in Rand, South African Rand. At that time, they were worth just around $1. So let's call them dollars. So I was earning $2.75 a day. For 26 shifts, we worked in a month, we worked 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. We had Sundays off. For my first full month that I have a pay slip, which was November 1963, I earned just under $70. And then one of my last months was February of 1965. I earned, well, after deductions, I earned $94 for the month. Now, a rand today, in those days it was worth about $1, but a rand today is, with devaluation quite extensively, it takes, I think, 8 rand for $1. So if you converted that's a US dollar. I think it's about 7 for a Canadian dollar. But I was working for maybe $10 a month uh, if you put it in that rate. But it was really 94. I mean, you could get a meal for about 10 cents, chips and sausage or something. So you've got to be relevant. And I think my first uh, room, well, it was a small apartment we rented after I got married, was 35 rand or $35 a month. So that can put that in perspective. Anyway, thought I would share that with you. So those are my experiences of working on the mines, a little bit more details. Grootvlei was an interesting mine. It's now been closed down. It went until about 2010, I believe, before it was closed down in Springs. And that's where I spent much of my time as a learner miner, and then my final years as a manager and mine manager underground. So with that, I'll say adios, au revoir, wishing you, your family, and friends lots of love and laughter. Bye for now from Fred and Notes of a Nomad.